Hey, what's up guys? Sam here, and I'll be doing the premium video for Wednesday, January 29th, 2025. So, a very big day today. Some may call it the Super Bowl of stock trading, when you have Senor Powell and his poppin' purple tie on the same day that you have Tesla, Microsoft, and Meta reporting after the bell. And things are a little bit murky, but I'm watching Tesla out of the corner of my eye, and they missed on earnings, and they're up ever so gently. So, not a bad recovery there. I got futures stable. So, coming into this video, I wasn't entirely sure what the highest value thing I could show you would be. I think I'm going to name the video Cat in a Refrigerator, meaning that the market being the cat, and it's stuck behind the refrigerator, and it doesn't know how to get out, so it has to kind of walk backwards and try to navigate its way out of the predicament that it's in. But I want to show you two charts that I think tie together almost everything that we look at least the majority of things that we trade. And even if you don't trade these things tangentially, you kind of do. So we're going to look at the Mag7 Index, which is what you see on the screen right now. And then we're going to look at the total market cap of the crypto market, which I'll show you next. So let's dive in here to the Mag7 Index. And in case you're unfamiliar with this, I'll make sure to include the formula in the video description, so you can just copy and paste it into your platform of choice. But essentially what this is Apple, Amazon, Google, Home Depot makes a rare appearance, Meta, Microsoft, Netflix, a small startup called Nvidia, Tesla, and TSM. So collectively this is about, give or take $10 trillion worth of market cap, and it has a disproportionate weighting on the indexes. So very important to track this stuff, in my opinion. So a couple things here. One is check out these multiple squeezes that you have on this product, right? I showed you this on Friday, because I usually do the Friday videos. I won't be doing them this week, so I'm with you on Wednesday. But I showed you this on Friday, and I showed you that it had a daily squeeze, a 2-day squeeze, and a 3-day squeeze. And so I just kind of want to round back to this, because I think that this is going to determine the next direction of the market. And I have to be of the bias that it wants to break to the upside. Ideally, we get this kind of break above the high here, and now Tesla's doing a little bit better, 406, 407. Hopefully I don't jinx it. I sold some 400 puts on it, so no jinx, no jinx. But back to the chart here, I'd like to see this break out, because one thing that would tie together the near-term picture as well as the long-term picture that I've been sharing with you is a blow-off top in the market, right? I think that would tie everything together. A blow-off top would bring everybody back into the market. Everybody gets excited, and then you can rug them. When sentiment swings back to, more of a extreme greed type of positioning. So that's kind of what I'd like to see, right? Because like I've told you in the previous videos, and you kind of have to try to square this circle where in the near term, the signals are in some ways weakly positioning for higher, right? Like this score here on the Mag7, it's the daily chart. This is a neutral score, but it's generally positive. The squeeze histogram, if nothing else, if we just ignore everything else, that squeeze histogram looks correct. That squeeze histogram kind of looks like what it was looking back here when you got kind of a vertical move. So that's pretty bullish unto itself, although the score is a little bit mixed, right? The indicators here are not overly happy. The thing is, if you look one time frame higher, which is the 2-day chart, which is right over here. This is the 2-day. Excuse that terrible looking 2. That is the 2-day chart, and that one is actually fully aligned, right? That one is max bull, and it does have a big squeeze on it. And so that is kind of the setup that I would look for, right? Max bull plus squeeze equals buy. There is a little bit of a rub here. There's a little bit of an issue with it, though. And for those of you with a very, very keen eye, you'll note that the squeeze histogram doesn't look correct, right? What you want to see the squeeze histogram look like is you want to see it kind of have like this tail to it, right? Or even better, if it looks exactly like this, where it's in a squeeze, the squeeze goes negative, rounds out, and then has this upward kick to it. Those are, Danielle calls them slingshot squeezes. I like that term. Essentially, you pull the squeeze down, but it never fires, and then you launch the thing in the opposite direction, slingshot squeeze. This one doesn't have that property. This one's still kind of in a downward formation, so it hasn't had the hook yet. But then, and that's not a huge issue. It can do what it wants from that position. But one thing that it concerns me ever so slightly that makes this suboptimal relative to just a traditional squeeze is you'll note that the squeeze there has magenta dots, not red. On my Squeeze Pro, magenta dots means that the squeeze is of the high compression variety. So what does that mean? High compression squeezes mean that the compression has gotten so tight inside the squeeze that it actually registers as a high compression as opposed to a regular squeeze, which is a red. Why does that matter? It matters because high compression squeezes are pretty notorious for breaking counter trend, right? So here you have a massive uptrend, beautiful big green cloud, a perfect max bull score, the indicators are just loving it. All of that looks great, but I can't deny it, right? I have to go with what the score says for now. But I just want to point this out because I've seen this break counter trend many times. Here's kind of what I would like to see, because this is entirely possible. Oftentimes, the way that these counter trend these high compression squeezes will work is even if they break in the direction of the primary trend, which in this case is up, they then have a very nasty reversal property later. And that would actually tie together everything that I've been telling you. I'm a little cautious about getting enthusiastic about long-term holdings here. Although hopefully it's been clear and has come across that I am ideally looking for that blow-off top in the market. And so I want to spend just basically the entire video on this chart, and hopefully if you copy and paste the ticker into your platform, you can do a little bit of work on it yourself and let me know what you think. But that's really what it comes down to. So I'd like to see this break out, and I'd like to see it kind of do it in a very sharp way that shifts the sentiment of the market. Last week I made a video talking about this as well, and I mentioned how this would imply roughly about 7% upside, and somebody in the comments section asked how I got that number. And roughly the way I got that number is the top of this range is 12, right? 112. The bottom of this range, let's say, is 105, right? I think that's a fair, it's actually like closer to about 104, but you can kind of work with me here, my poor drawings. There's your bottom, and there's your top, right? So roughly from 112 to 105. So you take those numbers and subtract them. 112 minus 105 is 7 points worth of coil, right, of value here. So the height of the box essentially is 7 points. You then take 7 points and add it to the top of the box, and that would take you into about 119. So give or take, my math isn't going to be great here, but give or take about 5 to 7% to the upside in the event that this were to break long. Tying it all together in case it's not overly clear as to what to do with this information, because this isn't a tick. You can't go out and trade this ticker, that I just gave you. Although you could trade it through like something like FNGU or MAGS. But basically the way to trade it is just you buy the NASDAQ or you buy the SPY, right? You understand that this ticker consists of Apple, Amazon, Google, Home Depot, Meta, Microsoft, Netflix, Nvidia, Tesla, and TSM. And if these gigantic companies do have a 5 to 7% upside move from here, then, that's going to take the NASDAQ certainly higher with it. So I want to be super clear about this. The signals here, we've seen significantly better signals, right? Like this squeeze right here was perfect. You see how you have arrow alignment right here? So you go into a squeeze and you get arrows coming from here and then you get arrows in the squeeze. That's perfect, and look at the end result of that. That's what you want. This one is suboptimal, so I do want to be super clear about this. If it's going to get rugged, it will get rugged with this setup, right? So just to be as clear as I possibly can be, I'd like to see it go higher. The signal suggests it could go higher. The signal suggests it could go about 5 to 7% higher on the QQQ and the SPY based on these signals. I am then looking for a secondary move that goes counter trend that then breaks the range and takes you actually pretty significantly lower. We don't have to talk about that yet. The signal is not there for that yet. Ideally, we go higher first, 5 to 7%. And then we can have that later conversation once we get better signals to justify talking about that. So that's the outlook for this. And hopefully you can understand that spending so much time on this chart, you can apply this to basically everything. So if this chart goes up, chances are that if you have anything that's even remotely connected to these stocks, it will benefit you in that way. Let's jump over to crypto. So last week I made a video specifically for crypto, and I think I'm just going to tie them together this week and just make them into this video and just combine the market analysis with the crypto analysis. And I just want to show you this chart, which is the total market capitalization of the crypto market. So this number is, I'm tempted to call it arbitrary, but it's not. Really, when you see that number there, it says 3467. What that means is that roughly the crypto market right now is about $3.4 trillion. So if you take the entire value of every coin that's meaningful, right now the total market capitalization of the crypto market is $3.4 trillion. We can chart that though, right? We can chart this just as if it was anything else. And so my question is, well, what happens next? Well, this squeeze that has developed here looks incredibly proper, right? It has exactly the same slingshot squeeze. Actually, it looks a lot like this squeeze, right? You see how it goes red? The squeeze never fires. It rounds back out and then comes back out the other end. It kind of has that same vibe here. This one's maybe a little bit more sharp, but it has the same tenor to it, where the squeeze goes red, threatens to fire short, never actually fires, and then rounds out, and I was giving you some pretty nice histogram bars to the upside. So what does this mean? Well, this is the entire crypto market capitalization, right? And essentially what this is implying, this is a 2-day chart by the way, what this is implying is that the crypto market capitalization could hit $4 trillion within about 30 to 60 days. Right now it's about 3.4, so you could do the math there to the upside. I think that would take Bitcoin into somewhere around 120 to about 125. So tying this together, what does this mean? Well, it means that, certainly Bitcoin would benefit tremendously, Ethereum would benefit, altcoins would benefit, but Bitcoin would be probably the most direct beneficiary, although it would certainly help Ethereum and the altcoins as well. So we have a position in the room in IBIT. That's how we're choosing to play it. But if this squeeze is true, and of course, leave room for surprises because nothing is 100%. But if this squeeze is true in the crypto market capitalization chart that you see in front of you, then that implies a very nice move on crypto. And since I'm tracking Bitcoin, I'll quote Bitcoin, and that should take it into about 120 to 125. Now again, leave some room here for some surprises because we live in the most interesting times in history. So anything goes. This chart could have one nasty candle that breaks it, but all we can do as traders is control our risk and play the probabilities, and the probabilities right now are that this chart wants to go higher. So we will come back next Friday. I'll be back with you then. We'll make a dedicated crypto video to follow up on this signal, and we'll also follow up on the signal that I just showed you on the Mag7 Index. Alright guys, that's my time. We are putting this video on YouTube, so if you're watching it there, leave us a like. It does help us with the algorithm. Before you go somewhere else on the YouTube, click that like button. If you feel like it, leave us a comment, leave us a question, and I'll come back. I'll read them, and then I'll come back and answer any questions I can answer on the next video on Friday. So, thanks as always, guys. Have a great day. Cheers.